Ayan, good morning po sa ating lahat, sa ating mga viewers na nag-aantabay po at naghihintay sa ating second day for our Division Basic Education Research Conference. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. At sa mga papasok pa lang po ng ating live broadcast, ay pakisabihan na lang din po. Pakishare na lang din po yung ating link sa ating mga kasamahan sa school. I-provide na po natin yung kanilang yung link for the YouTube para makapag-start na po tayo ng ating program. A journey is always a combination of success and failure, trials and errors, but when you realize it is done, you will definitely say yes and amen. To our school's division superintendent, Ma'am Cherry Ramos, to our OIC, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Jonathan A. Fronda, to all division education supervisors, school heads, teaching and non-teaching researchers, welcome to the second day of our Division Basic Education Research Conference. To formally start our program, may we have a moment of silence for a prayer to be led by Ma'am Mary Grace P. Bautista.
Lord. Let's bow our head and place ourselves in the presence of our Lord. Our Father in heaven, we stand before you in humble prayer before we start with this program. We realize that without your blessing, we will not be able to succeed with the plans that we have for this workshop. Bestow your grace and divine wisdom to all of us. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they would be able to impart effectively their God given knowledge to all of us. May they be blessed as they continue to bring their expertise to people who need them. Also, bless and protect people that they may enjoy peace and the goodness of your love. This we ask through mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ma'am. Now to give us, of course, yan, para meron naman tayong medyo mabuhay-buhay po tayo at mabigyan po tayo ng konting inspiration, isa po sa mga teachers po natin sa senior high from City High will be giving a short icebreaker po muna. Ayan, bago tayo mag-proceed sa mga messages ng ating program supervisors and of course our ASDS, ay bibigyan po muna tayo ng isang icebreaker ng ating isang kasamahan sa ahensya ng DepEd. So let's have Sir Julius Arnel Joven for the icebreaker. Good morning, sir.
Hello Sir Christian. Good morning po. Good morning po sa ating lahat. Okay. So, good morning everyone. So I'm going to share with you this icebreaker po. This is taken from a shared post by Teacher Maureen in her Facebook page. Perhaps you have come across this one before, but I find it inspiring. So I hope it may help you in your endeavor today. So, Sir Christian, can you present for the PowerPoint? Okay. While waiting, okay. What you will gain in this activity can serve as a reminder to yourself. So this I hope. Now please have with you your paper and pen and be ready to take down notes. Now, the first slide, sir. Please, thank you.
Sige sir, wait lang po ano.
Ay,
Ayan,
thank you,
ayan,
sir.
ayan.
Okay. So this would be our icebreaker. Now, please copy or you may just remember the phrases. Okay, so let's start, sir. The first slide. The next slide, sir. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do here is that you are going to copy the phrase opposite your birth month. The first slide, sir.
Ayan sir.
Yan. Okay. Okay, going back. The first thing that we're going to do here is that we are going to copy the phrase opposite your birth month. Okay. Are we good? The next one, sir. Okay. This time, copy the phrase that indicates the first digit of your birthday. Okay. Next slide, sir. Okay. And the last one, copy the phrase that is parallel with the first letter of your name. Okay. So the last slide. Okay. So what is the statement that you got? Mine is, life is unfair, but always remember, God will never leave you nor abandon you. Okay, so that's it. I hope you had fun. Have a blessed day ahead and thank you.
Thank you so much Sir Arnel for that heartfelt icebreaker. Mukhang kakaiba tong icebreaker mo Sir Arnel ano. At hindi yung typical na pag-iisipin tayo ng mahirap or yung may activity na ano lang pang fun, but your icebreaker is really heartfelt at motivating po sa ating mga researchers at sa ating mga viewers ngayong araw. Okay, so to have a recap, ladies and gentlemen, one of our senior high school teachers also prepared an audio-visual presentation para po mas maganda at mas captivating ang pag-recap po natin on what transpired yesterday for the first day of our Division Basic Education Research Conference. So ang magre-recap po sa atin is no other than Sir Mark Vincent Fernandez. Pa-on na lang ng ng mic Sir Vincent if you have something to share habang i-prepare ko po yung visual presentation po. Pa-on na lang ng mic Sir Vincent.
Yes po. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, our dear researchers. For today's recap, we prepared an audio-visual presentation for our recap. Let's have our recap about yesterday's activities in a form of a game entitled 5-second rule. All you have to do is to read all the questions and write your answers in the comment box in our live. Yun. Thank you, sir. Sir Christian.
I-play ko na sir.
Yes po.
Sir Mar, nag-share audio ka ba? Or walang sound yan talaga? Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much, Sir Vincent, sa iyong prepare na audio-visual presentation for our recap. I hope sumagot po tayo, ano? Ah, sino bang nag-quiz kanina? Madami po ba kayong nakuhang tamang sagot? O yung iba medyo nakalimutan na? Ako, nag-guilty ata ako dun sa pangalan ni Sir Marfil. Nakalimutan ko yung kanyang middle initial. Ayan. Sorry, Sir Marfil. Pero yun po, na-remind daw kanina. Thanks, Sir Vincent, sa isang napakaganda at very entertaining audio-visual presentation. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, uh, it's our privilege, of course, to hear a message coming from one of our education program supervisors ng ating Division of Santiago City. Let's all welcome Sir Benedict B. Santiago, our education program supervisor in MAPE. Sir Ben, good morning po.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Sir Christian. Um, According to Henry Ford, and this may be a cliche for the others, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is success. To our honorable guest lecturer and speaker for this morning, I know, is it Ma'am Maribel de Guzman? To our schools division superintendent, Ma'am Cherry S. Ramos. our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Jonathan A. Fonda, to our Division Research Focal Person and very much active, Sir Marfield Delay, to all the education program supervisors who are now in. I hope they will be joining us, to all the school heads, because this is going to be the second day and it talks about the basic education, basic research, I should say. And of course, to all the division personnel, unit heads of the office, and the person who invited me, Ma'am Florence, to the research technical working group, kila Ma'am Joy. Sa lahat po ng mga kaibigan natin diyan, to all our teachers at this friends event, because through the years, our division have stood up for our fellow teachers as a beacon of selfless service, and of course, at a vanguard of man's academic progress. This research conference merely illustrates our common interest in ideals, in continuously giving ourselves to our respective community, particularly our learners, and how we kept the flame burning, the flame of education, the flame of wisdom. Today, I am confident that we shall soar up high and will achieve the set goals, especially now that we are in full accord with each other on our second day. More so, your presence is indeed an indicator that we have found success just because you have just attended this or actively participated in this research conference and have survived from the many trials and fair share of strife brought about by this pandemic. It is my pleasure to welcome you all and to formally open this second day Division Basic Education Research Conference. Sabi ko nga, may mga cliche tayo. Bago po ako magtapos, ito lang po ang aking iwan sa inyo. Kung hindi tayo ang magsasaliksik, sino? At kung hindi ngayon, kailan pa? Thank you very much and hope that we enjoyed the pleasure of time attending to this second day research conference. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Sir Ben. Nakaka-inspire po din yung sinabi ni Sir Ben, especially when he is giving his message to us na talagang very energetic, naka-smile. Thank you, Sir Ben, for that. Smile, nakaka-inspire po talaga. Aside sa sinabi po ninyo, yung jolliness, yung positivity po na binigay nyo sa mga researchers, maraming salamat po. Okay, at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, alam ko excited na rin po kayo na mag-start ang ating lecture for today. Pero bago po yan, we will be given a short introduction for our guest speaker. Actually, hindi siya guest dahil kasama po natin siya dati sa ahensya ng DepEd. Ilang years din po siyang naging part ng DepEd. At para malaman po natin yung journey niya bilang isang research teacher, may I ask Ma'am Florence, our coordinator for the senior high school and secondary, to the introduction speaker. Ma'am Florence, good morning po.
A blessed morning, everyone. So our speaker today is a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. She finished her Master of Arts in Language at St. Mary's University and is currently taking her doctorate. Philosophy and Language Education at Benguet State University. She spent 7 years of teaching in DepEd and is now working at Ifugao State University. The research enthusiast of the Division of Santiago, where she worked for years, is now the campus paper advisor and research consultant at IFSU. Research has been part of her life and she has been a great blessing to our division for partnering with us in providing quality and excellent research papers. She is a lady of intelligence and humility. Let us welcome Ma'am Maribel T. de Guzman.
Okay, thank you, Florence, for that introduction, kind introduction. By the way, Florence was my former student. So, ganun na katagal ang ang inyong lingkod sa pagtuturo. So thank you so much for inviting me. So good morning to everyone, especially to our schools division superintendent, the mother of SDO Santiago City, Dr. Cherry Ramos, and also with our assistant schools division superintendent, Sir Jonathan Fronda. Thank you so, and all the division chiefs, supervisors, our school heads, our teachers, and viewers who are with us this morning. I am so excited whenever SDO Santiago invites me because my real journey in research started with SDO Santiago City. So, kwento lang tayo saglit para matanggal ang tension. Okay? So, my journey in research, particularly in DepEd, started in 2016 when I joined SDO Santiago City as a senior high school teacher at Santiago City National High School. So my first attendance to the Regional Basic Education Research Conference was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, sa University of La Salette. I was invited not as a participant but as a writer of City Gem. Okay, so nangailangan sila noon ng mga additional writers. And then while watching the program, something dawned on me kasi napansin ko na ang SDO Santiago City hindi ganun kadami ang participants. So parang nakakalungkot lang kasi ang daming participants during that time. Pero wala akong masyadong nakikitang pumupunta sa stage to be part of the awardees. So parang something dawned on me na tulad nga ng sabi kanina ni Sir Benedict, kung hindi ngayon, kailan pa? So it was a wish granted in 2017 when Sir Marphil became the division research focal person. And the journey of capacitating and building the skills among researchers, research enthusiasts in the division started. And then dun na nagsimula ng dumami ang mga teachers, even students. Before I left SDO Santiago, we were able to bring students to join the Regional Basic Research Conference. Hindi man sila pinalad, but that is a great opportunity for them to develop their research skills. Okay? So, whenever I join the Research Basic Education Conference, nakikita ko talaga kung sino yung mga nagsishine na mga divisions. Okay, like, the most numbered usually ay ang SDO Quirino, followed by Mababiscaya, Cagayan. And then one time, I happened to talk with one of my friends at SDO Quirino kasi kaklase ko siya dati sa SMU. So sabi ko, bakit lagi na lang ang dami-daming mga participants na teachers whenever we hold such as this regional basic conference, sabi ko. And then ang sagot niya sa akin, kasi manang, sabi niya, we are required by our school heads to participate. So parang every year yan, na meron na nakaplano na sa kanila kung sino yung a-attend. And then, doon ko din nalaman na these school heads are requiring their teachers to join because these school heads were also required by their supervisors, by the SDO, to join or to conduct research. And yun yung nakikita ko talagang missing link dito sa SDO natin. So, with that 3 years of attending the Regional Basic Conference, I can only count in my fingers kung ilan lang talaga yung mga school heads who joined the Regional Basic Conference and activities like this. So I am very grateful to Sir Marphil for inviting me to be part of the trainers in basic and applied research. Okay? So sana sa mga susunod na panahon, because for the information of everyone, even though I went out from DepEd, andun pa rin yung invitation lagi to be part of the panel of the Regional Basic Education Research Conference. At doon ko talaga makikita ko kung sino yung mga nag-attend or nagpa-participate na mga school heads kasi usually doon ako sa basic and applied research dinadala. So, this is a challenge to everyone. Tulad nga ng sabi kanina ni Sir Benedict, kung hindi tayo ang mananaliksik, sino? At kung hindi natin sisimulan ngayon, kailan pa. Okay? So I am glad that I've seen two school heads last regional basic conference in the person of Ma'am Chitribuka and Ma'am Rubilin of Patul. Okay? So this is a challenge now that this is not only with the numbers, pero dito kasi napag-uusapan namin minsan noon ng mga nasa technical working group na sana balang araw mas marami yung mga heads natin na mag-join kasi nakaka-boost ng moral sa mga researchers na na makikita na mas maraming school heads kasi dapat top down yung mangyayari. Kaya minsan yun yung gusto namin sanang mangyari noon. Na sana mas marami yung mag-lead sa amin ng mga school heads nasa SDO kasi yun yung nakikita namin sa ibang SDO sa SDOs. So pasensya na po at nagiging emotional ako kasi yun talaga yung gusto naming mangyari noon. And hopefully in the next regional conferences mas marami ang magjo-join from SDO Santiago City. Okay? So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be part of DepEd research. Okay? And because of this I was inspired now kasi hindi tumigil. SDO Santiago City was able to plant the seed for that love of research. At yun din yung ginagawa ko ngayon doon sa Alfonso Lista, Ifugao. We were able to get the approval of our university president to come up with a extension program. Kasi ganun din yung nangyayari ngayon sa Ifugao, particularly in Alfonso Lista, Ifugao. So we had an opportunity to meet with the teachers, and then one of their needs is really to have a capacity building on research. So we came up with 4 to 5 years plan extension program catering to these teachers later on for research capacity building. At dito ipapasok, we will be tying up with SDO Santiago City kasi hindi namin kakayanin yun, especially that the background of HEIs are not on action research, are not on basic research. So let's get started. Let's train future trainers, technical working groups who will be partnering with our campus, with our college, in capacitating teachers also at Alfonso Lista District, Ifugao. Okay? So sa basic research, of course, we will be inviting teachers from this batch and from the previous batches to lead other researchers in other provinces to be part of this journey in conducting research. Particularly that the mandate of DepEd is to come up with policies which are research based, and we can only do that when we are capacitated. So I salute the technical working group headed by our focal person, Sir Marfil, for leading this gigantic effort. Kasi talagang mahirap ang iilan lang talaga yung may gusto pagdating sa research. Okay? So siguro isa rin 'yun sa mga tignan natin, bakit kaya? And then we can start doing research from that, the need assessment of our teachers. So pasensya na po na parami ako ng introduction, but this time I will now do my part as a lecturer, or yes, as a resource speaker for this topic. Okay, nakikita na po ba? All right. So good morning to everyone. We shall now start with my short sharing this morning, especially that what I'm going to share to you this time are just review, because most of us here went to our undergraduate education, master's, doctorate. So These are just review, but these are important reminders to all of us, especially that my topic this morning is one of the crucial part in doing research. Okay? So my topic for this morning is crafting research instrument. So at the end of the session, the participant should be able to understand the usual steps in crafting a data gathering tool and be able to apply the principles in constructing questionnaires or questions. Okay. So basically, especially our heads, um, those who are designated to do decision making, particularly with the issues with the problems encountered in our educational system. So they need to have information, process data, which are information, and for them to make good decisions, this information should be correct. But if the information handed to them are incorrect, then most probably the correct decision diminishes. So not only to our policymakers but also among teachers, okay? Especially that the result, for example, the results of the performance of our student has something to do with the way we teach our students. Kasi sabi nga nila, may kwento sa likod ng bawat numero. And therefore, one of the things that we should be concerned about is making sure that the instrument we will be using to gather data, to gather information, really addresses the needs of research. So what are research instruments? So research instruments are the fact-finding strategies by the researchers or anyone who would like to address problems, emerging problems in their environment. Okay? These are tools for data collection. And they include questionnaire, interview, and observation, among others. These are the characteristics of a good instrument, research instruments. One, the instrument must be valid and reliable. So when we say valid, it really measures what it intends to measure. And then when we say reliable, the consistency of result is there. So one of the speakers, I think, will be discussing about validity and reliability of instrument, because there are many ways on how to test the validity and reliability of instrument. Okay? Another, it must be based upon the conceptual framework. Okay? It must gather data that would test the hypothesis or answer the questions under investigation. And it should be free from all kinds of bias. Okay? So it must contain clear and definite directions to accomplish it. It must be accompanied with a good cover letter, especially if we will now float or administer our questionnaires. Okay, and if possible, it is accompanied by a recommendation from sponsors. So these are examples of research instruments. Okay, the first one is interviews. We are very familiar with this one because most of us here do this type of data gathering. So of course, when we say interview, this is an interaction in which oral questions are posed by the interviewer to elicit oral response from the interviewee. So we have to be reminded that whenever we do interviews, especially oral interview, we have to record, okay? Record the interview, the duration of the interview, so that we can transcribe it later on. Okay, so we have types of interview. We have here structured interviews. Of course, in the structured interviews, this is very formal because we follow a set of questions, or we call this the questionnaire guide. Okay, so usually we visit the interviewee and then we set the schedule when we interview our respondents or our subject, and the duration of the interview is recorded. Okay? Is recorded on a standardized schedule. So meron tayong tinatawag dito na especially we do interview for qualitative researches. Okay? Or this is also a complement of the quantitative research. When we think that some of the data gathered using questionnaire are not covered, or the things that we need to get are not covered by other tools like questionnaire. So we do interviews. Then we do meron tayong tinatawag na transcription table later on. Okay, another type of interview is unstructured interview. Okay? So dito mas free, okay, yung flow ng conversation between the interviewer and interviewee. Okay? Because the interviewer can freely modify the sequence of questions, especially if he is not satisfied with the answers of the interviewee. Or sometimes na-explain niya or naglalagay din siya ng mga ibang pinaparaphrase niya para sa ganon mas maintindihan nung interviewee. Okay, isa rin sa mga ginagamit natin, we have this one, focused group interview. So this is conducted with a group of participants to collect a variety of information. So these interviews can be as small as 4 participants and sometimes as large as 10 participants. Okay, and then next we have here observation. Okay, so this is one of the very important methods for obtaining comprehensive data in qualitative when composite of both oral and visual become vital to research. And then we have here types of observation. We have the participant observation and non-participant. From the term alone, participant, you became part of the subject. So you stay with them, you observe them while living together, and this is commonly used in ethnographic research, where your purpose is to determine or to study the culture of a certain group. Non-participant observation, so you are a mere bystander, and then you look or you observe your subject, and then you record your observation based on the questions you would like to answer. Okay. So ito minsan yung ginagawa natin most of the time. Okay, because we cannot have the luxury of time to do participant observation, so we opt to have non-participant observation. And then we have here the most commonly used type of data gathering tool. We have the questionnaire. So this is a form that contains a set of questions on a topic or group of topics designed to be answered by the respondent. And then I will be focusing on my topic. I will be focusing on questionnaire because I know that this would be, okay, the mostly needed type of gathering tool, especially during during our time, okay, this pandemic. We can gather data by utilizing apps like the Google Form. To karaniwan yung ginagawa na ng mga researchers. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of using questionnaire. The first one, of course, this is easy to construct. Okay, the distribution is easy and inexpensive. Lalo na kapag ang gagamitin natin this time would be the Google Form. Kaya nga minsan naiisip namin na siguro kahit babalik tayo sa face-to-face, yun yung mga usapan namin ng mga kasama ko, pwede na nating gamitin ang Google Form during our examination kasi mas madali yung pag-retrieve. Hindi ka na mag-check, agad-agad nang na-tabulate yung result. Responses are easy to tabulate. Okay, yan na siya. And then respondents' replies are free. Okay? Because you are not there guarding them during the administration of the questionnaire, so they are free to choose from the options you gave them. And then confidential information may be given freely. Okay? That's why we need to seek the consent of our respondents. Dapat meron din tayong lalo na kapag the topic or the research that we are conducting is somewhat sensitive, that we need to get the consent of our respondents. So meron tayong kontrata na dalawa. So the researcher and the respondent. Then respondents can fill out the questionnaire at will, and respondents can give more accurate replies. How about the disadvantages? This one. Of course, this is cannot be used for those illiterate person who cannot read and write. Another, respondents may not return the filled up copies of the questionnaire. Ito din yung hirap ngayon na alam ko na laging na-encounter ng mga researchers. Yung nangungulit ka para lang isoli sa'yo or ibalik sa'yo yung questionnaire. O kahit minsan online na, kailangan mo pa rin silang i-update kung nasagutan na o hindi. Okay? Another, respondents give a wrong information. Oo, ito din yung isa sa mga drawbacks in using questionnaire. O, kasi minsan, meron tayong tendency yung masadot yun. Okay? Especially kapag ang dami-dami nating ginagawa tapos aapurahin ka rin, nasasagot doon sa questionnaire nila. Okay? So you might give wrong information kasi nga check ng check, minsan hindi talaga binabasa, or worst, ipapasagot sa iba. Okay? Another is respondents may leave some or many questions unanswered, lalo na kapag hindi nila naintindihan yung kanilang binabasa doon, or may mga choices doon na hindi nila maintindihan. So, hindi na lang nila sinasagutan yun. Another is number of choices may be so limited that the respondents may be forced to select responses that are not his actual choice. So, yun. Limitado yung responses. So, kahit hindi yun yung sagot, yun yung ilalagay ng respondent natin, which really will give us a wrong information or data. Okay, so these are the steps in preparing a questionnaire. Of course, we do library research. Wala naman tayong library ngayon. So, most of the time we do online search. But we have to be reminded of the mga legit website, yung mga .org, may mga ganon, yung mga .edu, yung mga .edu, and then other reliable sources. Kasi marami naman, like ResearchGate, Google Scholar. So marami tayong pwedeng sources, especially when we do our related literature and studies. Of course, we have to talk to knowledgeable people, lalo na kung yung ating research were conducted previously by this group of individuals, then we have to talk to them because they have a lot of experience when it comes to that topic. Okay. In the higher education, ang practice nila usually, especially if they are targeting that their paper will be published, ang ginagawa na nila ay they seek this group of researchers. Yan. So sila na yung nagiging advisor, sila yung nagiging consultant na nila. Okay, from the conceptualization of their paper down to the publication. Okay, so we have to talk to knowledgeable people. Okay, and then of course we have to master the guidelines. Then after having our online search, we talk to people, we now know the guidelines in crafting questionnaire, then we have to draft now our questionnaire. Then of course, we will edit the questionnaire. Okay. Pwede rin namang we edit and then we let other people edit our questionnaire. And then of course, with their inputs, with their corrections, then we can rewrite our questionnaire. Then this is now the time for us to pre-test the questionnaire. We pilot test our questionnaire. Okay, so what are the types of questions to be included in our survey questionnaire? So it could be personal, attitudinal, and behavioral questions. It could also be sensitive questions. And then we are very familiar with the open and close-ended questions. We have the rating scale, and then we have the contingency question. So these are examples. Okay? So example of demographic questions. Yan. And then we also have here attitudinal or opinion questions. Okay? And then another for the behavior. So did you take a semester off during any of your 4 years in college? Yes, no, and then we can follow up this with another question. Okay, another is we have here sensitive questions. So this is usually written when the respondent has warmed up answering neutral questions, but we also need to be very discreet when it comes to asking sensitive questions. Halimbawa nito, instead of asking, have you taken drugs? O kahit sino naman may bibigla, ano? Have you taken drugs? So instead, we can ask, in past surveys, many men reported at some point in their lives they have taken marijuana. This could happen during adolescence or as an adult. Then pwede mong sabihin, have you ever smoked marijuana? Okay? So we have also here the close-ended questions. So the researcher here poses a question and provides preset responses or options. So we have types of close-ended question. The first one is recall type. So the respondents here would only recall their answers. Halimbawa, what is your mother's maiden name? Okay, so what's the highest um, what was the highest score you got from your quiz? So mga simple recall lang siya. And then another is recognition type. So here, all the possible responses are given and the respondents only will select his answer. So we have here dichotomous, where there are only two questions and one is selected. Another is multiple choice. Only one answer is chosen from the given options. And then we have here multiple responses. Two or more options may be chosen. Okay, so we have an example here. So this is a multiple choice because you are only required to check one. And then we also have here a semi-close-ended question. So in some situations, you have partial list of answer choices, but you may still have some doubt or uncertainty about other possible responses. So you will give your respondents the freedom again to choose to give other answers if you think that there are other answers they can provide. Kapag in doubt ka na meron pa, then you can give this option like um, any other and then specify. Another is open-ended question. So here, usually ginagawa ito kapag we would like to get some qualitative data, okay, which you think were not covered by the other items. So maglalagay ka doon ng open-ended questions like, why are you attending adult education classes? Okay. So open-ended kasi anything can be answered in this part. Okay, and then we also have here contingency questions. So these are questions, a question that is answered only if the respondent gives a particular response to a previous question. So this avoids asking questions of people that do not apply to them. So for example, do you have computer knowledge? So only those who have computer knowledge can proceed with number 2. Pero kung wala na, then they can proceed with item number 3 or other items in your questionnaire. And then another type of question here to be included in the questionnaire is the rating scale question. So it is one of the most established question type for online and offline surveys where respondents are expected to rate an attribute or feature. Okay. So this is a variant of the multiple choice question. Okay, so these are examples. Okay, so they will rate the given attribute. Okay, so these are examples also of rating scale. Yan, pwede tayong gumamit ng mga pictograms. Okay, may smiley. Okay, and then we also have here rank question. So we ask the respondents to compare items, and then they will place their preference in order. Okay, so in the analysis of result, an average ranking is calculated for its answer choice, allowing for quick evaluation as to the most preferred choice. Okay, so this is an example of the rank question. Okay, so these are the steps or the procedure in developing a questionnaire. First, so when we sit and start doing crafting our research questionnaire, then we formulate generic questionnaire. So anything that comes out, and then based from our readings, related literature. Okay, so doon, magka-craft na tayo dito. So this is the draft, the first draft. And then after that, we try to expand. Okay, tingnan natin yung mga important items doon. Or we can also do this by asking other people, to look into our drafts, and then dito magbibigay sila ng mga comments nila, mga suggestions, mga add-ons nila. Then we try to expand the questionnaire now. Okay. And then after doing this, then we can now pre-test. Okay. We can ask a group of people. And then we finalize the administration of questionnaire.
Ayan, sige. Sige lang ma'am, take time po muna para asikasuhin si Balong. Ayan, it happens po talaga, it happens. Anyway, if you have questions po later on sa ating mga viewers, magkakaroon po tayo ng open forum or time for you to ask questions regarding sa mga dinidiscuss po ni Ma'am Maribel. So please take down notes if you have questions. And if there are salient points na kailangan nyo pong isulat po sa papel, I hope na tinetake down nyo po para po if ever na gumawa po kayo ng research or mag-propose po kayo for this DBERC for basic and action research po ay meron po kayong pwedeng i-review na mga shinare po ni Ma'am Maribel. So ayan po. So hintay lang po natin saglit si Ma'am Bel at ayusin niya lang po yung ano. So wag po tayo mahihiyang magtanong mamaya para po ma-confirm po natin kung tama po yung mga nasa isip natin or hindi po tayo sure sa mga ideas. Okay, Ma'am Maribel, you may continue po.
Okay, sir. My apology for that disruption. Okay, so let me now continue. Okay, so these are the steps in developing a questionnaire. So the first one is formulating generic questionnaire, and then we try to expand the questionnaire based on the suggestions, recommendations of the people whom we sought their expertise. And then we try to pre-test this in a small group before we pilot test. Okay, para lagi nating so that we can ensure that our instrument is really valid and reliable. And then we do again the redrafting, we finalize it, and then we administer our questionnaire. Okay, so this is the flow or the format of a questionnaire. We
Ma'am
have
Bel,
to,
excuse me po.
yes, sir.
Ma'am,
Sir.
yung presentation po na wala, naka-share screen na po ba kayo ulit, ma'am?
Wait, sir.
Sige po, ma'am. Take time po.
Okay na, sir?
Yes po, ma'am. Loading.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay na po. Ano na lang po?
Balik na lang ako.
Start. Yes po, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, let's continue. So these are the steps in developing questionnaire. So we formulate generic questionnaire. This is our first draft. This is considered our first draft. Okay. Based on the formulated problems. And then as we try to expand our questionnaire, we will seek expertise of other individuals to look into it, and then with their comments and suggestions, we can further develop our questionnaire. And then we try to pretest this one by again asking a small group to look into this. Then after that, we input again their recommendations. Then we pilot test our questionnaire for uh, reliability. Okay, for reliability test later on. So we do this in order for us to ensure that our questionnaire is really valid and reliable. Okay, and then after finalizing our questionnaire, then we can administer now to our target respondents or subject. So this is a flow or format of a questionnaire. So let us be reminded that separate sections based on study or objective of the question. So kung ilan yung statement of the problems natin, ganun din dapat yung section doon sa questionnaire natin. Kung ang question number 1 mo ay has something to do with demographic profile, then the first part also of our questionnaire has something to do with the demographic profile. Question number 2, ganun din. That will be your part 2. Question number 3, number 4, ganun. So these sections are all aligned. So our SOP, our conceptual framework later on, and then our questionnaire should be all aligned together para hindi tayo mahirapan later pag nag-tabulate na tayo, nag-analyze and interpret. Okay, so these are some of the guidelines in writing survey questions. So first, we have to be clear, specific, and direct. So this is an example of a vague question, asking them about their income. Okay, so kasi pwede pa namang tanungin na kailan, in what period of time. Okay, entire household ba before or after the taxes were deducted? Okay, so it could be better if we can say it. What was your household's yearly income before taxes in 2016? Another, we have to use the participants' vocabulary. So dito, huwag tayong gagamit ng mga jargons which are technical. Okay? Okay, so gumamit tayo as much as possible yung talagang very familiar with our respondents. Okay, so this is an example of unclear question. Okay, not everyone is familiar with UIE. Okay, so you make it clearer by specifying by using this statement. For example, user interface engineering library offers online seminars by expert, okay, in UX design. You can access the recordings anytime. How would you like to subscribe? Another is avoid double barrel. So yung tanong mo, dalawa ang posibleng sagot. Okay, so gawin mo na lang, you separate the items. Okay, sometimes these are called compound questions. So this is a common mistake which can be corrected by breaking questions into two. Okay, so this is an example of double barrel question. How satisfied are you with your work environment and compensation? Halimbawa, you do not have any problem with the work environment, but when it comes to compensation, it's a different thing. So you can separate this item by asking, how satisfied are you with your work environment, and how satisfied are you with your compensation? Another, of course, we have to practice good grammar. Okay, so aside from keeping our questions simple, they should also be grammatically correct. Okay? Avoid two-part or complex questions which are really hard to interpret, like double negatives. Okay? So yan, minsan we also use such statement na nakakalito talaga doon sa sasagot. Halimbawa ng double negative, do you agree or disagree that user interface designers should not, yun. So double negative. Better, user interface designers should know how to code. That's it. Another, this one, avoid bias and loaded words. Ito yung mga leading statement minsan. Okay? So we use emotional, politically charged, or sensitive words which can trigger different responses from our subject. So instead, we use neutral words or topic. Okay? Because these words can affect it could lead to positive or negative skews later on in our result. Okay, so ito yung bias talaga, we think. Meron ka ng leading. You are trying to lead your respondents, okay, on their responses. So better, you will ask, what do you think? Not we think that is bias. Okay, and then you also need to present all the possibilities. Okay, so the number of answers should be kept relatively small but include all the possible choices, varying from the positive to the negative, high to low frequency. Both should be balanced. So this is an example of incomplete and unbalanced options. So very important, moderately important, slightly important. What if it is not all important or even not applicable to our participants? So, ito mas kumpleto. Okay? So, yan. Mas kumpleto yung pagpipilian ng ating mga respondents. Another, remove universal statements like never, none, always, all. Okay? These are called absolute words. Okay? Instead of using absolute words, we can provide answers with specific references for behavior or time frames. So instead of using always, kasi gaano kadalas ang always, di ba? Ano naman ang never? Okay? So pwede nating sabihin na pwede tayong magbigay ng mga alternatives. Like for example, once a week ba? 2 to 3 times a week? Ayan. So magbigay tayo ng mga specific references for behaviors or time frame. Okay? And then in the use of rating scale, okay, and ratings and scale. So it should be symmetrical and balanced. So they should contain equal numbers of positive and negative responses within the distance between each item. Okay. So dito pumapasok yung mga Likert scale natin. Okay. It could be 3, it could be 4, 5, 7 Likert scale. Ayan. So always include word labels, not just numbers, to identify what each point on the scale means. So dito yung may computation doon sa scale. Okay? So pag sinabing this, aside from the interpretation, halimbawa yung disagree, anong ibig sabihin pag nag-disagree sila? So you have to provide also description for this. Not only the numbers. Okay? Kasi mamimili sila doon usually yung scale of 1 to 5, scale of 1 to 7. So what these numbers mean. Okay. So that's the end of my presentation this morning. So I would like to end by reading this summary. So good survey design leads to good data. So unfortunate result or bad survey design is bad data. So isa sa mga natatandaan kong sinabi ng mga kasama ko sa research ay garbage in, garbage out. So we have to be very careful on designing our research instrument kasi kapag mali yan, mali din mamaya yung makukuha nating results that might not really answer the problems we posted in our study. So take advantage of what other researchers and academics have done. So ang kagandahan ngayon, hindi katulad nung mga unang panahon, nung mga mananaliksik nung unang panahon, ngayon marami na tayong pwedeng i-adopt, i-modify na mga questionnaires. If we see that these questionnaires really fit our study or the data we would like to gather are covered by these previously used questionnaires by other researchers. So it is the survey's designer's responsibility to be clear and unbiased. So make sure the questions will be informative, the answers are accurate, and the insights will lead to actionable results. So tulad ng sabi ko kanina doon sa introduction, once na, especially for the policymakers, once na tama yung mga datos na naibigay sa kanila, so most probably they can come up with a good decision. Okay? Pero kapag mali, then maaaring maapektuhan yung kanilang mga decisions. So with that, thank you so much for listening. And I have prepared here an activity for the workshop. But I was instructed that this workshop will be taken care of by the mga coordinators per cluster. Okay. So yesterday I was thinking of a possible topic. So ito pwede pa kasi siyang ma-develop, possible topic that could be adapted kung gugustuhin ng mga participants. Okay? So we are now transitioning to the new normal. Okay? So what are some of the pedagogical practices and learning performance? So ang pinili ko ay modular instruction dahil ito yung modality. Okay? Modality na ginagamit ng karamihan sa atin dito sa DepEd. Okay? So here. So this is a possible research topic, but you can still add some of the variables that you see, okay, could fit into this topic. So transitioning to the new normal, pedagogical practices and learning performance in modular instruction. Okay, so these are some of the possible statement of the problem, specific problems. So what are the effects of modular instruction on students' learning performance? Another, what are the good practices for modular instruction as perceived by students and teachers? Okay. So, ito po yung ibibigay later on na workshop natin, especially for those who will be undertaking basic research. Okay. So, that would be all for me now.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Bell, for
Yes, sir.
that very intensive and very informative presentation po sa ating mga research instruments. Yan po ano. Thank you, Ma'am Bell. For this time po, we will be asking you sa ating mga viewers, asking you, kayo pa lang magtanong sa ating speaker. Okay? So we will be giving you the opportunity to ask questions, clarifications maybe sa present ni Ma'am Bell regarding crafting or making our research instruments. So, Ma'am Bell, meron lang tayong konting delay pagdating sa YouTube. Siguro meron tayong 10 or 5 to 10 seconds na delay na streaming. So,
Yes, sir.
hintayin po natin
Yes, sir.
sa comment section kung meron pong magtatanong. Dito po kayo sa StreamYard, medyo mas mabilis tayo konti.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Ayan. So, pwede na po kayong magtanong sa comment section if you have any. Even though magkakaroon po tayo ng cluster group po mamaya for the basic and for the action research, ay at least po agad pong ma-clarify yung mga thoughts po natin regarding the shared idea and facts of Ma'am Maribel de Guzman. Anyway, so far, Ma'am Bel, ang lumalabas po sa mga comment ay mga thank you messages, mga ano po, thank you po sa expertise, Ma'am Bel, from Ma'am Imelda, sabi po niya. And even Ma'am Arlene Javier. Thank you din daw po, Ma'am Maribel, for that very comprehensive sharing. And we also have Ma'am Jesseline Padolina. Sabi niya, thank you so much, Ma'am Maribel. Ayan, puro thank you. Thank you po talaga. Ayan. Anyway, ayan po, ayan. May mga lumalabas na pong mga thank you messages coming from our teachers, even school head. Siguro po, nire-ready po nila yung kanilang questions sa ating clustering po siguro, Ma'am Bel. But if ever po, siguro if if maybe Ma'am Bel will allow also direct messages siguro sa Messenger, if nahihiya silang tanungin dito sa via online, siguro via live stream, ay baka i-chat ka rin po nila siguro, Ma'am Bel, for guidance. And parang ako, kapag meron po akong tanong na regarding research, I always go to Ma'am Bel, tatanungin ko po siya kung ano po yung dapat gawin sa research. Ganoon po naman tayong mga researchers, sabi nga po kanina, you need to talk to yung talagang may experience, mas may alam kung tutusin, para po mas maging ma-improve ang ating mga research papers. Ayan po. Mukhang wala po muna siguro magtatanong. Baka nare-ready po nila. For this time, Ma'am Bel,
yes, sir.
We will be awarding you the certificate coming from, of course, our focal person, division focal person for research, no other than Sir Marfil Dulay. Good morning, sir.
Hi Sir Mar and Ma'am Maribel. Ma'am, i-present ko lang po itong screen ko for the certificate. Pwede mo siyang i-screenshot, Ma'am Maribel. Wait lang po. So on behalf of the Schools Division of Santiago City and of course our Schools Division Superintendent Dr. Cherry Salarzon Ramos and our ASDS, the chairperson for the Schools Division Research Committee, we hereby confer this certificate of appreciation to you, Ma'am Maribel P. de Guzman, for your invaluable services rendered as research speaker on basics of research instrument during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference, or DBERC 2021. So given this 27th day of April 2021 at the Schools Division of Santiago City, signed, Ma'am Cherry Salarzon Ramos, CDD, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Ma'am, maraming salamat po sa inyong pong pagpapaunlak.
Yes, sir,
despite your very busy schedule po, all for the love of research. Lagi ko nga narinig kay Ma'am Joy. All for the love of research. And of course, alam ko naman na love po rin ng SDO Santiago City. Yeah. Kaya kapag may request po kami, lagi mong pinapaunlakan. So, from our hearts, from the good people of the city of Santiago, sa lahat po ng teachers, ng teaching staff ng SDO Santiago City, and from the SDO Santiago City din, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Maribel, for sharing your expertise and technical know-how, especially on this subject matter po.
Yes, sir.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am, and see you soon.
Yeah. I will still be here for 2 days.
Sir. Ma'am. Thank you very much po. Ayan na, may mga nagkukunap po, Ma'am. May nagtanong lang from Sir Reynaldo Singeo. Ano po ba yung pag-pronounce? Ask ko lang kung paano po ang proper steps for creating modified questionnaire, Ma'am.
Okay, sir. Kasi modified dahil you only took part. Yes, Sir Reynaldo. Okay. Pag sinabi kasi nating modified, meron kang binago doon sa inadapt mong questionnaire. Okay? And then, you try to fit into your study. Okay? And then, we also, because it is modified, it will also follow it will also follows the same process. So you try to ask other expert to look into that. Kasi magko-content validation ka pa rin naman. Content validation, and then you do the validity and the reliability test pa rin. Okay? Until kasi ito din sana yung ma-practice natin na aside from subjecting our instrument to validity and reliability test, kailangan talaga that someone will certify that our instrument is valid and reliable. Okay? So we have to look into people who can do that. Kasi meron talaga yung expert sa field natin sa research na who can really validate. Kahit yung content validation lang, yan. Hindi lang nila lang kasi talagang mahirap 'yon. Yung content validation, so you have to secure the certification of that person who validated the content. Okay? Another, kapag halimbawa nag-reliability test ka and then you ask statisticians to do that. So, kailangan din sana na makasecure tayo ng ng proof na nakapasa talaga yung instrument natin. So to cut it short, so pag sinabi nating modified, you only took part of the questionnaire. Hindi mo in totong kinuha 'yon. Kasi kapag in toto mong kinuha 'yon, kailangan mong mag-seek ng permission doon sa tao mismo. Or kahit nga modified yun yun yung practice na namin ngayon na you have to chat kasi open naman lahat ang communication channels. So kapag once na nag-modify tayo ng isang questionnaire, ng isang researcher, ipaalam din natin sa kanila. Okay? And then, i-acknowledge natin sila later on doon. Then, susunod na yung mga content validation, what's this? Content validation, and then other validity test and reliability test. Sir Reynaldo, I hope I was able to answer your query.
Yan, thank you very much Ma'am Bell sa pagsagot mo. Actually, yung research ko po, anong year na yun? Parang 2017 po ata yun. Division level research po siya. Yung kanyang research instrument po ay coming from Philippine Normal University. Partner po kami ni Dr. Then ASDS, Sir, alam na nito. si Sir ASDS noon, we asked for permission from Philippine Normal University. Nag-reply naman po sila agad-agad.
Yes, sir.
Best minodify po namin with the permission of yung owner ng research. Plus yung nag-publish din ng research.
Yes,
Kaya si Sir, ano pangalan nito? Sir Dante pa naman is medyo mahigit when it comes to sa
yes,
mga
sir.
ganyan. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much daw po, ma'am.
Welcome.
From Sir Reynaldo. Yeah. And others dito, Sir Mar, I think, dyan ka ba, sir?
Yes, sir. Dito po.
Ayan, okay. Sige, sir. May
Okay,
mga questions po pa tayo. Ayan. Sige, sir. Go ahead.
Yes po. Siguro Sir Marfield, mga announcement na lang po siguro and siguro questions siguro ay pwede na lang pong itanong sa mga cluster groups na lang po. Ako po Sir Marfield may tanong regarding po sa hindi po kay Ma'am Bella. Sa atin po mamaya gagawin po natin because there are people na teachers nagpi-PM po sa akin na in terms of sa basic research ay magkakaroon din po ba sila ng mga grupo mo po mamaya aside doon sa nabuong clustering ng action research?
If they want, sir, parang na-discuss ko na yun last day, kahapon, yesterday, that if teachers want or opt to have or conduct a basic research, make sure na they are the coordinator of that particular program. Clear po yun na sinabi natin. So, say for example, ang magiging basic research niya ay about sa eco-friendly pwede yun, gumawa siya. Pwede siya isa, dalawa sila, or tatlo. Ay maximum of 3 as per DepEd Order 16 Series 2017, ating research management guidelines. And then, if ever na si teacher naman ay walang coordinatorship, pero he or she wants to conduct a basic research, pwede naman in partnership with the school head or the head teacher. Pwede yun, sir. Pwede silang
Thank you.
mag-conduct basic, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So magkakaroon din po sila ng group chat po sa mga magkakandak ng basic
Yes,
research po.
sir. Yes, sir. Dun sa ano na ninyo, sa cluster po ninyo, sir, please accommodate na lang po.
Okay, sir. Sige po, noted
So,
po.
tama yung you have to divide them. Although you will have one Google Meet na lang po sa cluster ninyo, but you have to segregate na lang siguro yung mga pang-basic tapos dun sa mga magkakandak ng action research. And then you have to deal with them, syempre, differently. Pero may mga items kasi doon sa action saka sa basic research na halos magkatulad. Katulad ng mga diniscuss kahapon. Some of the items discussed yesterday can also be applied sa basic research. No? So, add na lang po natin yung mga items na wala po. Like itong paggawa ng instrument. Thank you sa lahat ng mga umattend na narito hanggang ngayon. So, yun. Ganun na lang po ang gawin natin, Sir Mar.
Yes po, sir. Yes po, noted po. So I hope na nakinig.
Sir, si Ma'am Leonora Pason.
Yes po, meron po na-erase, sir.
Sabi niya ganun, I for one, sir, basic research po ako on the modular. Yes, ma'am. Apo. You can enrich, ma'am, your research na. And then, sige, Sir Mar, yan lang naman yung sinabi ni Ma'am Leonora.
Thank you, Sir Marfil. So, sa ating pong mga kasamaan, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng nakinig at nanood po sa presentation ni Ma'am Bel. To our ASDS, to our superintendent as well, salamat po sa pag-tune in. And to all our teachers, researchers, or non-teaching researchers, maraming salamat po. This time, if there will be questions po ulit, erase na lang po natin sa ating mga group chats na makre-create po. And I will give the last moment po for Sir Marfil for the reminders for the next activities after this AM activity po.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sir Mar. I would like to extend our sincerest gratitude and appreciation and recognition also. Ang in charge po kasi ng program natin ngayon, which is actually excellently run by the secondary cluster, of course headed by Ma'am Florence Bagat and her assistant, si Sir Christian, ang ating MC ngayon. Thank you very much po for handling this program very, very well. Napakaganda po ng program po natin ngayong umaga. We extend our sincerest gratitude on behalf of our SBS, our ASDS, lahat po, our chiefs and SDO personnel sa mga teaching personnel po natin na nagpadaloy ng ating program ngayong umaga. Sir, meron pa po ata tayong part dun sa si Ma'am Noridel Gabanes for significant insight, sir.
Sir, nag-PM po, may technical problem, medyo hindi po in favor yung internet connection sa area po nila.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. So we proceed na lang po dun sa announcement po natin. Again, thank you very much po, Ma'am Maribel. At sasamahan pa po tayo ni Ma'am Maribel as one of the panelists po natin sa Thursday, Ma'am Maribel, together with her colleague sa Ifugao State University, si Sir Matt, tama po ba? As one of the panelists din po natin on Thursday po yun, morning hanggang afternoon. So magsaserve po sila as panelists po ng ating both the research, action and basic research po natin. At this juncture, allow me to share my screen po. Pa-excuse na lang po sa mga makikita po dito na iba. But I'm gonna share po this afternoon, or beginning today po, after po ng ating program, short program ngayong umaga, you are going to proceed po sa kanya-kanya po ninyong Google Meet platform kung saan formally you are going to meet your cluster coordinator and the technical working group po doon sa cluster na yun. I am here po to present the Google Meet link plus yung ating po mga supervisors and the technical working group per cluster. So pwede nyo po siyang i-print, ano tawag dito, screen save para po magamit nyo later on as you go dun sa ating mga Google Meet link. Okay? For the secondary cluster of schools, technical working group, we have of course, Dr. Benedict Santiago and Sir Carlos Mateo, and our coordinator, Ma'am Florence Bagat, her assistant ay si Sir Mar Christian Mandia, and the rest po. Ang kanila pong Google Meet link ay nasa baba, yung XAS-DBBW-KME. So available po ito beginning April 27 hanggang 30 po. Depende po kung ipapatawag po kayo or magmi-meet pa po kayo. But definitely on Thursday and Friday ay gathering na po 'yon ng for the presentation ng inyo pong mga research, especially doon sa action and basic, both the proposal and completed. That is for the secondary cluster. Let's proceed to the North Cluster. Of course, our supervisors in charge po ay si Ma'am Mercy Antimano. Hopefully, ma-meet din ninyo si Ma'am Jaan and si Sir Nilo Cantor po. And of course, our cluster head, Ma'am Joy P. Hermosura of Santiago North Central School will be leading the conduct of the cluster-based research conference po natin. Kasama po yung technical working group. Baka hindi po ako nailagay dyan. Ang Google link po na pupuntahan ng lahat ng mga teaching and non-teaching staff po ng North Cluster ay UBZ, VEKD, APQ. Yan po yung link. Okay? Meron po ata akong hindi nailagay dito ay yung sa East. For the South Cluster of schools, naman, we have the supervisors, Ma'am Maribel Morales and Sir Robert T. Ruscha. The coordinator po ay Sir Loreto A. Codala. Siya po ang magpapadaloy ng programa po ninyo after our program today sa breakout sessions po natin. Si Ma'am Elizabeth Mamaklay, Ma'am Denilyn Damaso, and the rest po ang makakasama nyo. Ang Google link meet link po natin ay PMN, WGON, MVP. And of course, we have the West Cluster of Schools Technical Working Group. We have Ma'am Elizabeth Verdadero sa Filipino po, and si Ma'am Pep. Of course, with the cluster coordinator, Ma'am Mary Bicam Halog, and the rest of the Technical Working Group members. So the Google Meet link po ay NNOFNHIBIH. So ang gagawin nyo lang po, punta po kayo, type nyo po yung Google link sa may Google Chrome, and then from there, may meeting link, sabi niyang ganun. So itatype nyo lang po yan, kahit walang dash, di ba Jeff? Kahit walang dash, basta i-type nyo lang po yung mga letters na yan. Kung trip nyo po na may dash, okay din lang, but kahit wala, i-accept yun ni Google Meet. So itatype nyo lang po yan and then enter, parang ganun. So, and then, saglit, nawawala yung sa East. For the East Cluster po, I'm gonna post na lang po doon sa ating pangalan yan, GC po, para po sa bawat isa. But ang coordinator po doon ay si Ma'am si Dr. Brenda D. Niebres po ng Kabulay High School. So, ipopost ko na lang po dito sa ating comment section po. Pakitignan na lang po yung link. Yun po yung mga pupuntahan po ninyo na Google Meet link po after po ng program natin ngayon. So, I know that our coordinators are already ready to meet you and the rest of the team and the rest of the team po ng per cluster. They are now ready to meet you po. So for tomorrow, para naman po sa ating mga school heads and non-teaching staff, and the rest po na magkakandak ng basic research, the whole cast of Philippine Normal University professors will be discussing mga topics po. There are 5 topics po that will run from 9 a.m. hanggang 5 p.m. po bukas. I suggest na yung ating po mga school heads should attend. Nag-umpisa na po tayo on how to craft research instrument po na gagamitin natin sa ating basic research. Tomorrow, ang i-discuss po ay yung validation naman po ng ating research instrument. So kung ano yung natutunan natin ngayon, may apply po natin yung matututunan naman po natin tomorrow. So we'll start that at exactly 9 a.m. po bukas. And then, i-discuss na rin po yung statistics and methodology ng basic research po. There will be discussions on that and a whole lot more for tomorrow po. So, yun po. Saglit lang, ipopost ko lang po yung, andito na po ata si Ma'am Nori Del. Okay lang po ba, Ma'am Nori? Sir Mar? Andiyan na si Ma'am.
Yes po, yes
Habang
po.
pinapost ko yung link.
Sige po. Okay na po si Ma'am Nori. To give us a significant learning, ladies and gentlemen, pakinggan po natin ang isa po sa mga kasamahan po namin sa secondary at senior high school cluster. Significant learning coming from Ma'am Nori Del. Good morning, Ma'am.
Good morning po. Yes, sir.
Andiyan na
Yes.
si Ma'am.
Okay lang po.
Yes, Ma'am, nakita ka na po namin. To give us a significant learning, ladies and gentlemen, pakinggan po natin ang isa po sa mga kasamahan po namin sa secondary and senior high school cluster. Significant learning coming from Ma'am Nori Del.
Sir, paano pong mag-share screen? Sir, paano pong mag-share screen?
Ma'am, ano po, click nyo lang po yung share screen. Yes, ma'am, nakita ka na po namin.
May nakikita po?
Share screen po, ma'am, tapos click po yung entire screen.
Parang hindi ko po alam. Saan siya?
Sige, ma'am, take time po. Click lang po natin yung share screen and then may mag-pop up po na window. May choices po siya na click share screen. Yung share screen po nasa taas. Makikita niyo po dyan. And then,
Okay na
click
po.
po yung share.
Okay na po.
Wala pa po, ma'am, as of now.
Wala po yata. Share screen.
Click lang po natin yung share screen and then may
Mm-mm.
mag-pop up po na window.
Mm-mm.
May choices po siya na click share screen. Yung share screen po nasa taas. Makikita niyo po dyan.
Okay.
And then, click po yung share. Wala pa po, ma'am, as
Meron naman po sa akin. Anyway, sir, basahin ko na lang po kung ayaw yung screen.
Ay, sige po, ma'am. Sige po, ma'am. No problem po.
Okay. Para po, kasi sayang po yung oras. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to our fellow research enthusiasts. I will be sharing with you the significant learning on crafting research instruments by our dedicated and witty speaker. First, I would like to congratulate our brilliant resource speaker for the very fruitful discussion on crafting research instruments. You are indeed a God-given colleague to DepEd's SDO Santiago for always responding to our requests. First, She was able to enlighten us about what is research instruments, characteristics of good research instruments, examples of research instruments, and they are interview, observation, questionnaire. And she made mention also the advantages and disadvantages of research questionnaires, the steps in preparing a questionnaire, and the types of questions. She was also able to share the questionnaire developments. First, we have to formulate generic questionnaire. Second, we have to expand the questionnaire. Third, the pre-test, pilot test, and redraft. And then fourth, we have to finalize questionnaire and then administer it. She also shared about the guidelines in writing survey questions like, first, avoid double barrel. Second, avoid double negative. Third, avoid bias and loaded words. Fourth, present all the possibilities. Fifth, remove universal statements. And then the sixth, we have to use ratings and scales. I hope I remember some of the salient points made mentioned by Ma'am Maribel de Guzman. We hope that all these learnings will be applied in all the researches to be done in SDO Santiago City. Uh, Long live Ma'am Maribel. Thank you and God bless.
At this point, I think naibigay na rin po ni Sir Marfil ang kanyang mga reminders and activities for this afternoon. So I hope nakuha po ninyo yung mga link. Anyway po, kapag na-join na po kayo sa GC po i-provide po ulit namin yung link kung hindi nyo po nakuha or naisulat kanina yung mga links. So I encourage everyone to tune in po sa mga announcements sa mga GC, especially coming from our focal person, Sir Marfield Dolay. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Before we end po this morning session and before you go sa ating pong breakout sessions per cluster, let us welcome muna po pala si Sir Loreto Cudala to share to us yung mga important documents that we have to prepare, attachments and all para po sa ating writing session with the cluster na po. Hintayin lang po natin si Sir Loreto Cudala for his sharing on the important documents that we have to prepare kasi syempre yun din po yung tanong ng iba. Ano po yung mga i-attach po namin? Ano yung mga dapat namin ilagay? Say for example, basic research ako. I want to conduct basic research I want to conduct basic research, gusto po natin na complete lagi yung attachment so that when we submit po, complete na siya. Remember, quality assure ng SDRC Secretariat before masignan yan and may conduct yung committee evaluation as I have discussed yesterday. So makinig po tayong mabuti so that we are properly guided po in terms of the documentations and the proper attachments po ng ating action research proposal and completed plus yung dun po sa basic. But si Sir Loreto po, i-share niya po ngayon is yung sa action research po. Almost the same din lang naman po yung attachment. There are varying codes lang po. I want to point out po sa mga nagte-take down note po, if your research is BERC funded o Basic Education Research Fund, masasali siya sa regional level, dapat po may mga codes sa baba. And those codes are very, very important for our ISO processes. Madalas po bumabalik yung mga documents kasi mali yung coding. So we are very, very strict doon. So make sure na hindi kayo kukuha sa other sources. Again, Huwag po kayong kumuha sa other sources. Do not trust even yung mga dati na pong nakagawa kasi time and again, yung atin pong mga documents ay nagbabago, nare-revise. Okay? So, sino po ang mga tao na pwede nating pagkuhanan ng ating mga templates? Okay? Uh, yung ating mga research coordinators lang po per cluster. No one else. Okay? So, clear po yon so that we have control of our documents. Para po, iisa lang po yung nakakapag-replicate or nakakapag-release or nakakapagbigay po ng ating mga documents sa mga researchers po natin. So, we want to make that very, very clear right now. So, ang pwede lang pong pagkuhanan, hindi si Ma'am Judy Ann Santiago ang pagkukuhanan ng ating mga resources or documents, kundi sino po ang coordinator ng South, si Sir Loreto Cudala. Sa North, hindi po si Sir Dave Batayan ang pagkukuhanan ng mga attachments. Sino po? Si Ma'am Joy Hermosura. Okay? Because as much as possible, we want to control all the documents and to make sure na yung alignment, yung footer and header niya, kasi minsan nababago po yun, ay tama. Okay? Ay correct. Okay, so we're very, very specific po dun sa mga bagay na yun. So we want to avoid yung pabalik-balik na mga documents kasi may mali na code. Gano'n. So we're going to do that po for the rest of our activity, for the remaining days po ng pagsasama-sama natin sa Virtual Division Basic Education Research Conference. So I think I made that clear to everybody po so that everyone is properly guided. Now I will we will have Sir Loreto na po nawala na naman siya. Mahina siguro ang internet connectivity. Sir Loreto and the rest of the technical working group, kung naririnig nyo po, make sure po na masabihan si Sir Loreto na it's his time na po to present. Ayan. Sabi ko na, mahina daw ang net. Okay. Hintayin lang po natin saglit. But by the way, or anyway, kung may tanong po kayo, please pa-address po sa atin pong mga research coordinators po per cluster or sa ating pong mga technical working group po sa per cluster. Saglit lang po sa TWG po, wait lang, hindi ko po kayo masagot at nagsasalita po ako. Pwede after the talk, saglit lang po. Dami pong mga tanong, saglit. Okay, so again, yung ating pong schedule, we're gonna follow. So after po ng session natin ngayon, you'll proceed saan po? Sa cluster meeting po ninyo. Yung meeting code po ay naipost ko na po dyan sa comment section. Makikita niyo po, naka-yellow siya. Naka-yellow po yung pangalan ng SDO Santiago. Tapos nakasulat po doon yung mga codes po per cluster. Like yung sa South Cluster, North Cluster, East Cluster. Baka makapin niyo po lahat. Make sure lang po na it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. 3, 4, 3 letters po siya. 343 letters ang code po ng Google Meet. Baka kasi makapin nyo, nagdikit-dikit po kasi. So 343 lang po siya. Now, let's have now Sir Loreto Cudala for the presentation po of the document. Sir, narinig mo ko, Sir Loreto? Again, habang inaayos ni Sir Loreto yung kanyang presentation po, on Thursday po ay diretso na po tayo sa presentation po ng mga finish outputs. So isasubmit po yung mga paper and then you will be tasked by your research coordinator to present your PowerPoint presentation po And then they are going to choose 5 from among the, although lahat naman po na makakakuha ng 70 points ay makakasama po, I mean, pwede siyang maging part ng birth. And then, only 5 will present, doon na po yun on Wednesday. So, may mga panelists po tayo to help us improve, hindi po gisahin. Okay? Ang mga panelists po ay nandoon to make sure that your output, our output ay within the standard of research. Okay? Yung talagang nasa level ng standard po ng research. Okay. So, I think yung discussion na lang po later on ng ating mga sige, ako na lang po ang magpe-present so that mahina daw po ang internet connectivity ni Sir Loreto. So, wait lang po. I'm pulling out my example po na document for the viewing of everybody. And okay. Let's have the batch 5. Wait lang po. Okay, so I'm gonna present. Saglit lang po. I'm gonna share my screen. Hopefully, nandyan pa po kayo. So I'm now presenting. Okay, so kung nakikita nyo po, the first part po nung ating yung unang yung cover po, pwede nyo na pong hingin yun sa ating mga research coordinators po. Yung cover ng ating research. Kung makikita nyo po, meron po kasi tayong ginagamit na standardized cover. Okay, so I'm gonna open po yung unang document that you're gonna prepare is yung permit to conduct action research. So ito ay innovation. Pag you have to just take kung ano po yung ikinakandak ninyo, kung research yan, research. Hopefully nakikita po, please paki-comment po. Ayan. So kung research siya, paki-tick research, ano yung title niya, sino yung proponent. Pag teacher po kayo or non-teaching personnel po ang nagkakandak ng action or basic research, make sure na may school level entry endorsement po kayo. Merong research coordinator, meron pong coordinator ng research kung sino man siya, but for Patol National High School, ang kanila pong coordinator doon ay si Ma'am Florence, pero sinama po si Ma'am Celia as one of the quality assurance team member. And then of course the school head. So yan yung dapat na unang gagawin. Make sure that your output ay dumaan pa rin sa school level. The second, the division level endorsement, yung quality assurance po ng ating team. As I have discussed po yesterday, one member ng ating CID ang magiging part ng, ito po ay tinatawag natin the Schools Division Research Committee. Ito pong nakikita nyo pong mga personalities po na ito. Si Sir Carlos Mateo ay isa sa mga signatories. Why? Because he is the senior high school coordinator. So if your research is mathematics, then it follows that your supervisor should be Sir Nilo Cantor. So I want to make that clear about this. So yun po yung nandito. Ma'am Jeneline Buta is a part for the LRMDS po siya, representative, and for the archival of the research. Ako po yung as Division Research Focal Person, ang ating pong co-chair ng SDRC is Ma'am Predelita Sales and Ma'am Janet Val Bautista, recommending approval po si Sir Jonathan Fronda and of course approved by our SDS, Ma'am Cherry Salarzon Ramos. So ito po ang template. It's not coded. So i-close ko na po. Yun yung una po nating ipe-prepare. After po nung cover page po natin, yun po yung susunod. Ito pala yung cover page. So, next po is yung ating Declaration of Anti-Plagiarism, which is may coded din po siya. Kung nakikita nyo po itong nasa baba, ayan. It's very, very important po. Dapat wag po nating pakialaman yan. Wag po nating galawin. Yan. Kay Sir Emil pala ito. So ito po yung ipiprepare din natin. But by the way, ibibigay din po yan ng ating mga coordinator sa inyo. Meron po tayo para sa mga nagko-complete. Meron tayong isa pa, yung atin pong template ng sa template po, saglit lang po sa mga nagko-comment po sa technical working group, manood muna po tayo saglit at mahirap pong sumagot ng nagsasalita po. Thank you. Project Flip po in Developing Basic, ito yung kay Ma'am Florence Bagat po, ito po yung kanyang template and coded din po siya. This is completed, yung 009, para sa mga magko-complete, ito po yung gagamitin yung template. Yung font na gagamitin po ninyo ay nandiyan na rin po. You just have to follow kung ano yung font. Hindi nyo po siya papalitan. Okay? So, lalagyan lang po natin ng laman. This is for the completed. Meron din po tayong template for the proposal which will be provided to you also. Tapos, the rest po, yung letter of endorsement din, dapat formally endorsed po siya by the school head. Okay, so, ipoprovide din po yan. Next po, yung completed research endorsement. Ito po ay importante din that na-fill outan ng ating mga ayun. So these are the items that we're gonna ano po. Yes, Ma'am Brenda, saglit lang po. Nagtotok po ako. Hindi ko po kayo mare-replyan agad sa GC. Thank you. So yun po yung mga items, ibibigay po natin sa kanila later on. Pero technically magkakaroon pa po kayo ng discussion sa cluster on the items po na dapat po na i-ready po ninyo. Yes, ako po yung maglalagay doon. And then, yeah. So, I think yun lang po yung mga ano po, the important things that we have to note. And then, mag-check po tayo ng attendance later on. Isa-send ko po ulit yung message sa inyo pong mga email. Make sure na fill outan nyo po yun so that present pa rin po kayo the whole second day ng ating pong DBERC 2021. So, yun lang po, I think. And then, I think yun lang naman po muna. Meantime. So, see you po tomorrow. Para po sa mga gustong manood, pwede din po na nasa GC kayo and then if you want to watch po yung discussion for tomorrow, pwede din po, Wednesday. We're gonna start at 9 a.m. hanggang 5 p.m. So those are the announcement. And last po pala, ngayon po ang deadline ng mga papers po ng Most Outstanding Research Coordinator, tama po ba ako? Most Outstanding School Research Management Team, Senior High School Digital Art Competition sa cover po ng ating cover ng Division Research Journal. Nakapag-submit na po ang Divisory High School doon. Nakapag-submit na po ang City High ng entry sa Most Outstanding Research Management School category. We are still waiting po for the rest para mag-submit. Because ang awarding po natin ay gaganapin sa Friday po, April 30. Thank you, Ma'am Marilu. So, Ma'am Marilu, ang GC po ninyo sa Sagana, North po kayo, di ba ma'am? Nandyan po, nandito po, naipost ko po dito. And ipopost ko po ulit sa GC ng mga school heads later on. Para po for the guidance of everybody. So, may tanong pa po tayo, pwede pong i-post dyan before I end our broadcast. And I will also visit po yung mga cluster meeting po natin. I will be there pero hindi po lagi. Visit lang po ako. And hopefully makatapos po tayong lahat. And see you tomorrow hanggang sa Thursday sa panel natin and sa awarding ceremonies sa Friday. Kapag may mga urgent po na concerns, pwede pong mag-chat. So, yun lang po. Again, thank you very much on behalf of the top management of SDO Santiago City, the Schools Division Research Committee, headed, of course, by our ASDS, Sir Jonathan Fronda, of course, our SDS, Ma'am Cherry Salarson Ramos, our chiefs, Ma'am Janet Valbautista, and of course, our OIC chief, Ma'am Charlene R. Macaspak, all our education program supervisors, unit heads, from the finance personnel. Maraming salamat po for tuning in. And see you later po. And God bless. Stay safe po sa ating lahat.